was Monday. Let's say happy birthday to Maurice. And then my mother's birthday was Tuesday. And so, all right. Now I won't feel rushed at the end. I think I worked my way through everything I need to tell you. Let's talk about what it means for us to become who God called us to become. This entire year has been a series on becoming. Our theme is becoming everything that God intended for us to be. Moving from everything we used to do, every place we used to be comfortable at, and accepting the fact that before I formed you, I knew you. And so it's not a matter of discovering if there is a journey for you. Instead, it is a decision to step into, to run towards, and to passionately pursue God's intended purpose for your life. Amen. I need you all to get that. I need you to get that. Because it is critically important. Because sometimes we feel like, does God have a plan for my life? Is there something waiting for me on the other side? I feel so discontented. I feel so this, or I feel so that. And there's this struggle that exists, and there's these questions that we have. But the reality of it is this, that we all have some form of a purpose, a plan, an assignment. But it will not happen unless we decide to passionately pursue it. So I started this series in March called I'm Going For It. I told you all that I would go until God said stop. And I'm gonna be honest with y'all, I was ready to stop. I was ready to switch. I was going to have nothing to have something else planned. You all know I planned out my calendar, and I was working on something else. I was even texting Lo about it this week, and God was like, I didn't tell you to stop yet.
Amen. Come on now.
I was like, but God, I just kind of feel like I want to move someplace else. But the idea of the series is this: the idea is not just for me to give you great content; it's for you to move.
Amen. Yes. Come on, say that.
Yeah, the idea is not just for you to walk away and say, yeah, Pastor, that was great. And I heard you when you said this. I don't want to just, God was like, I don't want to just hear them say I heard it. I want to hear them say I'm doing it.
Yep.
Yes.
See, there's a difference. That's transformation, right? That's not just me hearing good preaching or hearing sufficient communication. It's more than just me hearing Dr. Phil talking, but it's me saying, man, what I heard right here, I so believe that God is able, that I'm going to apply it to my life, and I'm going to go for it. Amen. This series is intended to wake us up to the fact that there's possibility waiting for us, that there's something on the other end of this thing. But it won't happen unless you go for it. And in order for you to go for it, it's going to take this commitment to growing up. Because most of us just want stuff to happen to us. We just want stuff to happen for us. We don't like the idea of change, but because change requires growth. And here goes something that nobody likes to talk about when you get grown, is that growth hurts.
Amen. Yes.
Growth hurts. So we don't like change because we don't like growing. We don't like growing because we don't like being in pain. But growth hurts. And Paul says, when I was a child, I thought like a child, I reasoned like a child. But when I grew up, when I matured, when I became a man, I put away childish things. Doesn't mean I wanted to do it. It was just necessary for my growth.
Amen.
He writes talking about how after so long you can eat all milk, but after so long you got to change the diet and up the palate so that ultimately you can go from just saying, now I lay me down to sleep kind of prayers.
Amen.
Yes.
But there ought to be some level of maturity that takes place with you spiritually where you advance from just what you used to do into who you can become. And so that's that. I'm still there today. And, if you're asking when will I get out of it, I guess the answer is when you change.
Yep.
That's kind of what I feel like God is saying back. It's like you can't stop it until they're ready.
Yep.
Amen. Yeah, so it's just like, I want, listen, hear me. I want to be out of it just as badly as you want to hear me stop talking about it.
We gotta get past it.
But my responsibility is to teach you how to pass the test.
Come on.
Yes.
Come on.
Not just do it in 6 weeks and say, oh well, if you didn't get it, I'll catch you next time.
No. Come on.
It's can you take it and take it and take it and see how, I mean, you know, I'm sick of hearing this and not seeing change. Maybe if I start working it,
Amen.
Amen.
something's gonna happen.
Amen.
And so this whole idea is around that. And so the Bible stories aren't there for your entertainment, they're there for your education. Here's what you gotta know. I'm gonna jump right in my text from that. You have to know this, that you do not get victory without a battle.
Mm.
You do not get to become king if you do not kill Goliath. So if life is a series of battles, until you see yourself as a lion, you will not win.
Amen.
Lions fight for a living.
Yes.
And you have to see your life as a fight for your destiny.
Mm.
If you don't see your life as a fight for your future, you will remain stuck, stagnant, content, and uncomfortably comfortable.
Amen.
You'll stay in situations that you hate. You won't make changes to areas of your life that need to change because you feel like it takes too much energy for me to move from where I was to who I can be. But a lion says, if I don't do this, I'm going to die.
Amen.
And if I don't do this, my family will not eat. So whether I feel like it or not, I'm going to hunt today.
Amen.
And there's some of us that we've done it. We've sat. We've even prayed prayers for change, but we never ever got out of the boat.
Amen.
We pray safe prayers. We've lived safe lives. We've lived these lives of restriction where we say we say we want God, but we don't want God to change what's happening in our lives.
Amen.
We say we want new friends, but we don't want to get rid of the old friends.
Amen.
Well, the problem with that is that some of our old friends are so, looking for a polite word.
Messy.
Messy isn't quite polite, Chris. I mean, I guess it's better than ratchet. Because some of us are kind of all ends of that spectrum, right? So you got messy, and then you got ratchet, and then you got some of the kids aren't in children, so I can't say the other stuff. So then you got messy, and then you got ratchet, and then you got some lazy friends.
Amen.
Some of us, you got some trifling friends. You got some lying friends. You got some stealing friends for some reason or another.
Amen.
Friends you can't even leave in the room when you can't even leave in the room in your house. You got to stay in the room with them. Stealing friends. Man, I can't. I tell you, when Lorenzo come over, I got to sit on my couch that whole time. Here it is. I cannot say I want change if I'm not willing to change. Because what is for you must be fought for. How in the world would I ever fully become who God intended for me to be if I have been unwilling to commit to going for it? Is that all making sense?
Yeah.
Amen.
All right, here it is. I said this every week, I think, in this year, is that you cannot make advancements without having non-judgmental conversations with yourself about yourself.
Yeah.
Why do I keep saying that? Because I don't believe we're doing it.
Yeah.
If we were doing it, I think we start changing more. But some of us have a hard time looking at ourselves in the mirror saying, am I the problem?
Mm.
Is it me? Non-judgmental conversations with myself about myself. And here it is. Here, the biggest question we have to ask ourselves is, how can I be better in this area? What can I do today that will make me better in this area than I was yesterday? Yesterday I was late. Today, what time adjustment can I make to be better on time? Yesterday I yelled at my spouse. What can I do better today to make sure I just reach that point? Yesterday I did this. What can I do better? And here it is. It's that non-judgmental conversation with us about ourselves. So that I've been talking about that. Here's what else you got to know. You've got to be able to have non-judgmental conversations with yourself about the people you with.
Amen. Yes. 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 Come on.
And I'm going to show you why in just a moment. I'll show you why in just a moment. Let me get into my text today because I want to make sure I have time to kind of do this as adequately as I can. Matthew chapter number 14 is our passage. This is how it reads. Matthew 14. This says in verse 22, immediately he made the disciples get into the boat and go before him to the other side while he dismissed the crowds. And after he had dismissed the crowds, he went up on the mountain to pray by himself. And when evening came, he was there alone. But the boat by this time was a long way from the land, beaten by the waves, for the wind was against them. And in the fourth watch of the night, he came to them walking on the sea. But when the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were terrified and said, "It is a ghost." And they cried out in fear. But immediately Jesus spoke to them, saying, "Take heart, it is I, do not be afraid." And Peter answered him, "Lord, if it is you, command me to come." And it says, and he said, "Come." So Peter got out of the boat and walked on the water and came to Jesus. But when he saw the wind, he was afraid. And beginning to sink, he cried out, "Lord, save me." Jesus immediately reached out his hand and took hold of him, saying, "O you of little faith, why did you doubt?"
Amen.
And when they got into the boat, the wind ceased, and those in the boat worshipped him, saying, "Truly, you are the Son of God." For the few moments we have together, I want to use as a title for this exchange, "Lord, don't do it without me." You've read it multiple times. You've heard people preach it. You've heard people share it and talk about it. They refer to it in my Bible. It's even listed right here as Jesus walks on water. Most of you are familiar with the story from that particular dynamic, and I believe it is important because it is noted as one of the miracles. Jesus is there. He's walking on water. It says that the disciples are out there. They're in this boat. He has sent them ahead of him, and they're out there. Mark chapter number 6 says it this way. So they were out there. They were in this boat, and they were toiling while they were rowing. There was a storm that broke out. So while they're rowing and they're working, they're in a storm, and so they're struggling through this process. It's an incredible picture of what's happening, because as they're toiling while they're rowing, here comes Jesus walking. And all of us get happy. We celebrate on that fact that we serve a God that walks on water. It's an amazing point to be happy about. It's an amazing point to celebrate, because we serve a God who's not limited by what we're limited by. It's a reminder for many of us that some of us are afraid of some stuff that you need not be afraid of, because we serve a God who's able to walk on what we struggle with. He's able to walk in what is frightening us. It's a great picture of that. But I see several other pictures take place in this passage, because while it's special that Jesus walked on the water, Jesus had power to do whatever he wanted, whenever he wanted, however he wanted. But Peter walked on water. Jesus walking on water is special. Peter walking on water is exceptional. Jesus was fully man and fully God. Right? He had just healed blind people. He had just broke 2 fish, 5 loaves, gave it to people, fed the multitude. He had this kind of supernatural power, but Peter was just like you and me. Peter was a normal man. In fact, Peter was so much like some of y'all that Peter cussed. Yeah. Y'all with me now.
He was a fisherman.
Yeah, he was a fisherman.
That's all they did.
Peter was just like some of y'all. He was a fighter. He was aggressive, right? The people would come toward Peter, and Peter would be like, "Wait a minute." People approach Jesus. He started chopping off ears. Peter was aggressive.
Yep.
Just like some of y'all. So if that is the case, I think there's something that we need to ask around this idea of what made Peter different. Because there was 12 of them on the boat, but only Peter's walking on water. So everybody else is around. Look at it, verse number 22. It says immediately he made the disciples get into the boat. So that's not just Peter. Don't say he made Peter get in the boat. He made the disciples get in the boat and go before him. So here it is. I'm going to work it as best as I can the time I have left. If you're taking notes, you got to take it quickly because they're not on the screen today. I'll give them to you as best as I can. But you got to see this picture. Because first of all, what happens is this. As they're on this boat, they're going before him. So Jesus sends them ahead. He sends them ahead. He says, look, y'all get on this boat, and I want you all to go forward. You got to get this part. Because what ends up happening is they go forward, and they end up in a storm. This is why this is important, because some of you all feel like when storms happen, God's not in it.
Right.
Jesus sends them into this storm.
Right.
You got to see this. This is important because it changes everything. Jesus sends them into this storm knowing that this storm was coming. Is it possible that some of the stuff you're trying to get out of is stuff he positioned you to sit right in the middle of?
Amen.
Is it possible that you are missing the lessons he's trying to teach you in the midst of the storm because you're so ready to get out of it?
Yep.
Yes.
Is it possible that you're only looking at the problem and not at him to say, what is it you're trying to show me or about those around me in the midst of this storm? Because most of us, we buckle under pressure if we're going to be honest. But if I'm going to fight this fight of faith, if I'm going to stand in this Christian walk, I've got to learn how to stand in the middle of a storm. The old preacher said this way, there's only two types of storms. There's a storm that you're coming out of or a storm you're going into. They would make it very clear, you're either on your way out or you're on your way in, but storms are inevitable.
Amen.
Well, if storms are inevitable, why does it seem like they don't bother some people? Man, you got to think about it differently. Because some of us take our storms to Facebook, some of us take our storms to people, some of us take our storms to the grocery store aisle, right there where you have ice cream at, and we take our storms and we indulge in ice cream. Some of us, we take our storms to every place else but Jesus. But what happens in this particular passage when a storm arises? It's an interesting passage to me because I see so many different things happen. I wish I really had time to walk down verse by verse because Jesus sends them out into the storm. And as he sends them into the storm, he goes to pray.
Amen.
I've been talking to you all about spiritual disciplines. If Jesus had to make time to pray, why do you think you don't? Why do we feel like prayer is optional for us, but Jesus had to do it? Why do we think rest is a luxury when Jesus did it?
Amen. Hate that.
He dismissed the crowds. And after he dismissed the crowds, he went up on the mountainside by himself. You see that, right? Verse 23. It says he went there by himself. And when evening came, he was there alone. But the boat by this time was a long way from the land. You see, are you following me? Verse 23. But the boat by this time was a long way from the land, beaten by the waves, for the wind was against it. So this storm is happening. He's out there. The disciples are out there in this storm. Jesus sent them into. Jesus is back praying while they in the middle of going through their worst part of their life, trying to figure out what's happening. They're struggling and rowing, all from a prompt and an instruction from God, because sometimes following God puts you in the midst of a storm.
Amen.
The question is, what will you do when the storm happens, not if the storm comes? Am I making sense so far? So if that is the case, what you have to see is this. It says that Jesus is there, he sends them out, the wind was against them, and the fourth watch of the night, he comes walking on the sea. He sends them out. They hit a storm, but it lets us know that Jesus will meet us when we are where we're supposed to be. Is it possible you haven't got your help yet because you haven't gone to where you're supposed to be? Is it possible you saw the storm and you went the other way? Is it possible life got tough, life got rough, and instead of continuing to press your way to follow God's plan, you decided, I'm out of here. And now you're trying to figure out where your deliverance is, where your relief is, where your provision is, and your provision is waiting for you at the place it told you to be at. I feel like some of you all are struggling with that dynamic, and I don't know why. So let me see if I can try and rephrase it differently. Is it possible, say it as plainly as I can, is it possible you are where you are, not because God's not with you, he didn't call you, he didn't give you an assignment, he didn't give you a grace for a gift, he didn't prompt you to do something. Is it possible you are where you are because you were afraid?
Yep.
And you weren't just afraid. Fear is normal. You were afraid and you backed out.
Yes.
Is it possible you quit something he didn't tell you to quit? Is it possible you were about to walk out of something he never told you to walk away from? Because some of us, we leave stuff too quickly. Trouble comes, I'm out. Tension comes, I'm out. Trouble comes, this can't be God. And we misquote scripture. Right? So we say stuff like, well, God's not a God of disorder. If there was no disorder, there would be no storm. That's two different passages. Yes, storms and order aren't countercultural. They're not opposites. Storms can come and God is still God.
Amen.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I feel like, and if I'm off, just tell me I'm off. I just feel like sometimes there's a disconnect here because some of us feel like, well, if it was God, everything would be perfect. No. Where did you read that? What story in these 66 books lays that out for us like that? And if that's the case, is it possible that there's something we have to learn from this storm situation?
Yep.
All right, so I'm here. I read the text. I look at it. Let me tell you what I really stood up here to say. Is that the kind of faith you live by will produce the kind of faith you live by will produce the kind of results you experience. The kind of faith you live by will produce the level of results you experience. As you're here, what you see is this. You see a man, a normal man, like you and like I. You see a normal man see an opportunity to use his faith, and as a result, he experiences something everybody else could have gotten but didn't.
Amen.
Yeah, you gotta really read the story to see what I'm saying. They were there. The other disciples saw a ghost. He thinks he sees Jesus, and he says, "If it's you, bid me to come."
Amen.
Everybody else saw the exact same thing, but did not see the exact same thing.
Amen.
Is it possible? The problem isn't the problem. The problem is your sight. Is it possible that your perception of what's happening is throwing you off? Because you're looking at what you see and you're listening to what others are saying, and it's drowning out when God has spoken to you. Think about it this way. Don't sanitize the scripture. Think about exactly what happens. Take all of the facts and look at the facts. The fact is, Jesus told them to go out there. Am I right?
Yes.
He told them he'd meet them there. Am I right about it? He said, "Go out. I'll see you when you get there." So they were doing what he said until a storm came, and then they got scared. Did the storm change what he said?
No.
Did he ever say, "Get out there and a storm ain't gonna be there"?
No.
He said, "Go. I'm finna go pray and I'll meet you there." So what happened in real time, if we separate what you think you see from it, what happened was what he promised. I told you to go, here I come.
Yep.
They don't think it's Jesus. They think it's a ghost. Why would you think it's a ghost? Here's why I want you to see this. Because sometimes we call some stuff the enemy that might not be the enemy. It's Maurice, I think you felt it, but I don't know if anybody else kind of got it. We're so quick to call stuff the devil. Is it possible that agitation in your life is God shaking something?
Amen.
And the problem is you keep getting shook because you don't see God.
Amen.
It wasn't that there wasn't the devil, it wasn't a ghost, it was Jesus.
Amen.
Here's why I'm pointing this out. Most of us, at different times of our life, live our life like the other 11 and not number 12.
Amen.
Peter says, I don't know what they're talking about, but just in case it is you, Lord, bid me to come. He says, Lord, I don't know what they're doing, but whatever you're doing, don't do it without me.
Amen.
So if it's you, if that's you walking on water, I want to walk on water too. See, this is the problem. This is the problem. See, that doesn't move some of you all. Because you have settled for this level of thinking that my life has to be like everybody else's life. I don't know who sold you that lie, but it is a lie.
Amen.
I don't have to live in gloom and doom every day. I don't have to hate the job I go to every day. I don't have to hate the person I live with every day. I don't have to raise miserable children. None of that stuff is the truth.
Yes.
How do I get there? I gotta choose to say, I don't want to be like the 11 who see the ghost. I don't want to do things like, the old folks say it this way, I don't want to do things like the Joneses did it. I don't want to do things like my neighbor did it. I don't want to do things like everybody on Facebook does it. I was listening to this prime stuff yesterday. I was just like, Lord Jesus.
Amen. Come on.
I don't have to do things everybody else doesn't. That it's possible that when God's leading me in a different direction, we can make a turn.
Amen.
But some of us keep using the model and the mold somebody else gave us. Just because that's how mama did it, don't mean that's how you raise your kids.
Amen.
Yeah, because if you're gonna be honest, there's some stuff Mama did to you that you wouldn't. If you really think about it, it was child torture. And you really think there's some stuff you'd be like, man, you can't do that today. Lord, no, and this stuff.
Yes.
Try it in public. And I'm all for you spare the rod, you spoil the child, but it says there's some stuff we got to draw the line at. And here's why I say this though, because some of us, we're so caught up in the molds, in the models that we saw that we're now looking for new patterns. So just because it's how we've always done it doesn't mean it's how we have to always do it. Just because the other 11 want to settle for less than doesn't mean I have to. I can live a life filled with joy and peace and love and the fruits of the Spirit. It's possible. So if you don't want it, Maurice, that's your prerogative, but I want it. That's what Peter says here. Peter says, listen guys, you might not want it like I want it, but I'm going for it. He doesn't even ask them, are you coming with me?
No.
Look at it. He doesn't even ask them, are you coming with me? He just sees a chance to get out there and take off, and he decides, I'm going to take off.
That's right. Amen.
Some of us are waiting for everybody else to get together before we move. Right? I can't trust God here because I got to get my family saved. Maybe your family will get saved if you take a step towards your purpose.
Amen. Come on.
Maybe they're stuck because they're looking at your level of faith and living, and because you won't move, they won't move either. So because you keep praying for them instead of demonstrating a life of faith for them, they will remain stuck because you won't move your feet.
Come on.
Is it possible? Is it possible that some of us have formed in our mind this picture and this idea? Peter doesn't just say, Lord, if it's you, make it happen. He says, if it's you, bid me to come. Do you see the difference? Some of us want him to pick us up out the boat and put us on the water.
Amen. You ain't lying.
Peter says, Lord, if it's you, bid me to come. And I'm going to step out of the boat. Do you see this? He sees something that nobody else sees in them looking at the same thing. It is so possible to look at a situation and see something nobody else sees. There's some stuff in your life, some people are declaring dead, but you got to look at it and see it differently. There's some areas of your life people say, no, it's too late, you too old, you too young, you don't have this, you don't have that. You can see whatever you want to see. I see something differently. Do you see this? Oh man, I wish I'm over it. Am I making sense?
Yeah.
Because here's what happens though. Here's what happens. When I'm willing to put my feet, my trust, my confidence, my belief in God, what I'll see is this. Peter must have realized something. That I had a head start. He sent me ahead of him. I left Jesus back there. So if Jesus not only walked on water but caught up with me, I don't know what he has.
Amen.
Here's why. I want you to see this because it lets me know that I can be behind somebody else, but I can catch up. Ooh. Do you see this? See, you really got to see this fact. Some of us have sanitized in such a kind of way, we only see one thing. Jesus was back there. Again, I told you, Mark chapter 6, verse number 48, I think it is, reads this same passage. It says they're toiling while they're rowing. So they're struggling. They've been out here for hours rowing in this boat. They are stressed, they are strained, and a storm hits in the middle of it, and here comes Jesus. Walking on water in this storm.
Come on.
He walks from the shore in the dark, in the storm, the same storm they're struggling to row in. Because there's something I believe there's something there to teach us about what happens. If Peter was able to walk on the water because it says come, it's possible for you to catch up if he says come. Because some of you all are afraid to take steps and go for it because you feel like I wasted so much time. The only thing you're wasting is your time. God's time is not our time.
Yes.
You wasted time with the knuckleheads. Why not waste time trusting God? Some of y'all waste time with fools. You still waste time with fools. You waste time with this. You waste time with that. But you won't give God a try.
Amen.
I don't know where I am. Let me just finish this one on out. I might have to pick this back up next week because I didn't get through anything. I think I'm at verse 28. He says, Lord, if it's you, command me to come to you. Here's what Jesus says. He just says, come. One word. Do you see that? He doesn't say come and. He doesn't say come but. He doesn't say come and when you come, this magical thing is going to happen. The parachute is going to pick you up. The water is there's going to be a booth that comes from under here and you're going to stand on it. He just says come and he gets out the boat. Some of y'all are waiting for specific instructions. All he's saying is come.
Amen.
You want to know when is it going to happen? How is it going to happen? What is it going to look like when it happens? He like come. He like just come. He's like just come. Just trust me. This is what I'm saying. Yes, it is me. Yes, if you believe, here's what you got to do. Get out of the boat and come. He's saying come. I'm here. I'm available. If you trust me, you'll do miracles. If you trust me, it can change. If you trust me, you will see everything flip from the inside out. And it might not happen when you want it to happen, but it can happen. Don't do it without me. I don't care if the 11 don't want it. I want it. Yeah, I don't care. I don't care if Thomas don't go get it. I don't care if the other disciples are confused. I want it. And this stale Christianity that we kind of hear about today has kind of told us that it's wrong to say, I want it, but I want it.
Amen.
I want the greater works he promised me.
Amen.
When I look in the Bible, he says, I came to do works. I came to fulfill my Father's works. But here it is. When I leave, greater works shall you do.
Amen. That's right. Amen.
Say that.
Jesus.
What does that mean, Rev? Pastor, what does that mean practically? It means I can have a new marriage without having a new marriage.
Come on. Okay.
Amen.
It means I can have new kids without making new kids.
Amen.
Okay.
It means that maybe the problem is I've had my hands on too much, didn't really trust God with it, and didn't do it the way he said. Because sometimes he just says, wait. Sometimes he just says, trust. What does that mean? I don't know. Trust. What does come mean? Come. That's all it means. Maurice is not deep. It means some of y'all want something real deep. Lord, give me a burning bush experience. How do I know it's you? Because you're walking on what you should have been drowning in.
Amen.
How do you know? Because when you get there, you're going to look at it and say, nobody did this but God. That's how you know. How do I know if I got it right? Because it shouldn't have happened if God wasn't working. And some of your stories are pictures of God moving in such incredible ways. You are foolish not to trust him now.
Amen. Amen.
It's absolutely ludicrous to not trust God when there's no way most of us in this room should have made it through half of what we made it through.
Amen.
And if that is the case, here's what you have to know is that you don't learn. Some of our struggle is not trusting him, it's patience and perseverance. You do not learn patience in church. You learn patience in the storm.
Amen.
See, you don't learn patience when I preach patience. You learn patience when you hear me preaching, you put it in your notes, a storm hits, and you learn how to wait.
Amen. Come on, Pastor. Amen.
Where do you see that in this text, Rev? I see it right here. Because as he's out there, he begins to sing. But as he begins to sing, he says, Lord, save me. And as he does it, he's patient enough to wait. Do you see it? To do the unusual is tied to your level of belief. How you see God changes everything. If you don't see him clearly, you will not give him your everything. If you don't see him clearly, You will not trust like he tells you to trust. And as a result, here it is. Here's what you gotta know. You may not live a bad life.
Come on.
You just won't live your best life.
Oh.
And you may not live a bad life. Because some people are like, man, I'm cool, Rev, I'm cool. I got this right here. You know, I'm a little stressed at work, but I got this, you know. I was able to buy this, I was able to do this, I got this. But it's like, yeah, but what happened? Did life end when you got the stuff? You got the stuff and you're still unhappy? You got the stuff and you're still dissatisfied, so what is it? He said, come, trust me and I'll show you. Walk on it, step out in it, trust me, I'll lead you toward it. It was on Peter though. It was on Peter. It wasn't on Jesus. The 11 could have had the same thing he got. They could have had it. You could have it. You could have a more, what am I talking about when you say I can have it? You could have a more fulfilled life. I'm not talking about acquiring stuff. I'm talking about a life of fulfillment. A life that because some of us have that pretend life, that pretend stuff. So we tell ourselves we happy, but we're not really happy. Yeah, I'm convinced I can really have a thriving life. Where I can really be happy and say I'm happy and mean I'm happy.
Amen.
Yeah, some of us lie to ourselves. Some of us coach ourselves in the morning. We look ourselves in the mirror and say, "You gonna be happy today." Yeah, I want to wake up and really be happy.
Amen.
I want to wake up and really enjoy what I'm about to go do with the course of my day, regardless how stressful what I might do it. I want to enjoy it.
Hallelujah.
Right? When we started Empowerment Church, I wanted to start a church people could enjoy to come to.
Amen.
It wouldn't work to come in here. That's why some people have on a t-shirt, some people have on a suit, because whatever your preference is, you just fit in. People told me I'm still here today. You can't create the kind of church you're trying to create in Chicagoland area. They don't like that kind of church. That's you part of the 11.
Come on.
You couldn't do it. Just because you couldn't do it doesn't mean he can't do it through us.
Amen.
So that might not be your church's story. I understand it. That doesn't mean it can't have more empowerment.
Amen.
And here's, if we can have because some of y'all believe that with me. If y'all could believe that for your church, why can't you believe that for your life?
Oh, amen.
What is the fruit of believing that for my life? The fruit of believing that for my life is changed behavior.
Amen.
Some of y'all got great faith about mouth. But you don't want to fix your attitude. You gotta be right all the time. You don't want to fix your behavior. Change your adjustment. Let God fix your mindset. He'll do it. If you love Him. Can I pray for you?
Yep.
Father, in the name of Jesus, I pray, God, that you will stir something up in everybody that can hear my voice, including me. That you will so embolden and empower us with your spirit to believe you, even when the situation doesn't line up, the circumstances don't line up, the facts don't line up with what our faith is saying. Give us the confidence to trust you with one word. If you say come, let us get out the boat. Let us know that storms are going to come, but you're right there with us. Lord, whatever you're doing in this season, don't do it without me. Don't let me be the reason that I don't make it to where you call me to be. Help me to get help me to get out of my own way. God, I pray for this, your church. Lord, you gave us an incredible burden for the local church. You placed incredible burden on my heart for a transformation center. I believe you're doing it. My prayer is this, God. My prayer is that the people that you call to be a part of the spiritual family, that their faith will match up with my faith.
Amen.
And as a result of it, we will walk where others struggle. I pray for a walking season. That we walk on water while others struggle rowing. That's the kind of faith I have in the season we're in, God. And I pray that you wake that up and wake that up in the people you call to serve this house together with me.